Father, let me not look upon a past that is not there, for you have offered me your own replacement. In a present world, the past has left untouched and free of sin. Here is the end of guilt, and here am I made ready for your final step. Shall I demand you wait longer for your son to find the loveliness you plan to be the end of all his dreams and all his pain?
Okay. Good morning, everyone. So, today I'm going to start off with the prayer from the Bible that speaks to the experience of living in the world but not of it. And it'll be quite familiar to you, I'm sure, and it's Psalm 23. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadows of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Okay, happy Good Friday, Kevin. Saturday here. So before we go on, we usually open the floor for sharing. So if anyone has anything on their heart and mind that they'd like to open up, and we can just sit here quietly, whether it's something you want to expose to the Spirit and ask for the correction, something that's troubling you, some thoughts that are troubling you, perceptions, and you want to hand over, and just give yourself a moment of quiet to let them go and receive the correction, make a bit of room for the miracle, the light to come in, or whether there's a miracle you want to share, or you just want to express your gratitude and hand your gratitude over. We'll just open up the floor here. So just unmute yourself and go ahead.
I'll share a little bit. It's awesome that you just read that prayer, because what I was just thinking about, there's a little gap in that, not a little gap, a little piece of that prayer that kind of goes along with what I was just pondering on, and it's walking in the valley of death, and that valley is the low thoughts in our mind. That's what the Bible. A lot of people think of it as something externally, but the Bible, just like the Course, for me, has been all internally. So as I walk through the valley of death, as I walk through the consciousness of this world, I was just thinking about how this world is trying to shape our mind into its beliefs, its conditioning, its awareness, and everything that goes along with that. So that's interesting that you just open up that prayer, because we really got to be on top of our thoughts, what our senses is relaying to us, and filling our mind with, which is blocking love's presence. So that's that. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Kevin. And it's actually, I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. So that's kind of important in
Shadow of death, yeah.
Yeah, that little bit though, it's like it's speaking to how ephemeral it is. Like it's not really solid when he talks about the valley of the shadow of death. Doesn't have the solidity that we think it is. It's really quite ephemeral. But as you say, we've we've energized and we've given those thoughts of that lower mind, of that ego mind, substance. So they appear to be something to us when they're really nothing.
Would you consider the ego mind nothing but the subconscious?
Sorry, I'll say that again.
Would you consider the ego mind the subconscious?
Well, within the ego mind, we have a subconscious and we have a conscious. So there's stuff that we are conscious about. There's thoughts that we are conscious to, but a lot of the ego mind is hidden. You know, our beliefs and is under the surface, and that's why when the light starts coming in, it starts penetrating and flushing up, you know, the beliefs and stuff and memories and all sorts of stuff that we've hidden from ourselves. It flushes up our desire to kill, you know, and we become really aware, you know, of that murderous rage that we heretofore might not have been conscious of. You know, it's a lot. It's hidden, but there is, you know, there's a component to it that we are conscious of. Does anyone else want to say anything before we go on? Go, Kevin.
Yeah, I'd just like to say I'm sort of feeling pretty grateful this morning. I'll have to take Kevin's name off him, I think. It's really just been feeling good the last couple of days, and I just sort of wanted to acknowledge that. And I've been having a few little insights about things and seeing things a bit clearly, and I've just been really enjoying it. So it's been really nice. Yeah. That's all.
Thanks, Kevin. Go, Teresa.
Well, I'm doing the lesson review, and I just doing the my favourite patch at the moment. I'm sort of taking my time, but I really love from 40 to it's almost like I call it the Beatitudes of the lessons. They're, you know, like what is 41, God goes with me, and there's about 10 of those. They're really lovely, and I sort of, when I started them, I thought it's like walking into the sunlight, and I was, because I'm using Carol Howie a bit, because she's got a nice, quite occasionally a wicked way of reinterpreting things, but it puts it on a day-to-day basis. And I thought, isn't it interesting that it's sort of in this period of 3 days? You know, it's really lovely, and you know, there'll be kind of a respite, if I can put it that way, and then right, we're back to the coal face again. But I just thought I'm really grateful for that. Yeah. And got a beautiful day today, and so all's good.
Well, I'm glad you said that, because now I know why I put Here Comes Sunshine, the Grateful Dead song, up on my post last night. Okay, so today I'm going to be reading from Gethsemane to Galilee from the Master Teacher, who I don't know how to talk about, like, really, because he, like, the first line of this, I'm going to read from chapter 4, which is called Ask and It Shall Be Given. The first line of this really basically describes him in a second, because this is what he was. He was a single call going out, and the vibratory frequency he carried with him was just so, I don't know, like I say, I don't know how to talk about it. It was so phenomenal. Like, he really just had a single call going out all the time. People had awakening experiences left, right, and centre around him because of his single call to God and to remember the truth. So I'm going to just read this, and I might just stop, and I hope somehow I can tap into the vibratory frequency of his mind, because that really was what it was with him. I don't know whether any of you were here when Christopher Summers was talking about him the other day when Christopher was on as our guest speaker. But Christopher used to, he was saying how, he was a master at getting your mind to just give up, in a sense, because he would go from one side to the other of your mind, and people would try to understand him, and then it was impossible. And then it was just basically they'd get to a point and they'd let go, and they would have an experience that was not of this world. Christopher used to be able to just really join his mind, and he'd actually see all the time what he was seeing, and see just, how the purity he was seeing in his brother. He'd say little flippant remarks like, you don't look so bad. And Christopher would be just seeing all this light, all pure light in them. So I'm going to just read from this, and I would sort of say, don't try to understand it. There's a simplicity in what he conveys, but the way he uses language is phenomenal. And so I say, don't try to understand it. It really, with the master teacher, it was really about that singular, energetic, vibratory call, that if that starts igniting the light in you, igniting the light in your own mind, will take you into an experience not of this world. So this is from chapter 4. I don't know whether you caught that thing. I'd say don't try and understand it if it's really in the vibratory frequency of his words and the energetic call of his mind and his illuminate mind. I'm just so grateful that I heard the call through him. Like when they showed up in Byron Bay, there was people just going, this guy's a nut job, and walking out. Like I was held in this great big old meat slaughterhouse. And, there was, I don't know, maybe how many people walked in, because it was just open doors, walked in, and, 150, 300 people, I don't know, but people were walking out and just going, this guy's a nut job. And I'm just so grateful that something in me recognized something that was going on that I really had no clue what it was. But I heard the call. Something in me recognized the call. Something in me recognized there was an offering here that was way beyond my comprehension. So we're starting at chapter 4, Ask and it shall be given. As a saviour of the world, dedicated to the certainty that the universal mind is singular and you are that, the frustration will always be the necessity to teach to the perceptual mind in the first place. The perceptual mind is inherently demonstrating its own capacity of judgmental association based on the terms it has established within its own self. If you don't correlate the devices that you are using to come to this, you will simply let your I become one. Let's use Jesus or you. You come into a situation and perform an apparent miracle. It is a performance of reassociation of what was previously sick and now is well. All performances of perceptual mind require correspondence of the situation in order to verify the occurrence of the performance. The mind is designed specifically to suffer a relief from conflict in the verification of a performance based on the power of perception to perform. The denial of you as a performer is literally a denial of the miraculous healing of God. Or a definition of you in your capacity to keep your cause and effect separate. Through the demonstration of this miracle, I am showing you that you are perfect as God created you. What is the greatest fear of this world? Your miracle healing center. It's a total threat to the establishment of man. It is afraid to be healed. It's afraid to be well. If it were well, it wouldn't have an identity of its own. It's afraid of totality. It's very important that the Miracle Healing Centre be taught as individual atonement. Trying to teach it as a cultural establishment re-identity will be what they'll attempt to force on you to make you come into an established association. If you do that, they can formulate a doctrine concerning the method by which you heal. I don't know whether I should be commenting on this or whether you want to, I don't know whether I just should let the energetic, what he's saying, go and let it wash over you and you hear it or you don't. I don't know, GK, what is your feeling? You want to make any comment about this or what he's saying?
I mean, it kind of goes with what I was just saying earlier about as far as like this, like at least the last paragraph, as far as, you know, the world and its, he said, cultural establishment is basically trying to shape your mind and your thoughts into believing everything that is not true about the reality of what you are.
And also, as he's saying too, as a miracle healer, you do not fit within the parameters of the world. If you're healing from the mind of God, you're coming from wholeness. You're coming from a place that has nothing to do with the world. And the world's thinking is always going to be trying to fit you in a box. If you remember Jesus in the Bible, okay, so this is Bible. We're doing Bible study now. So this is Jesus in the if you remember the Bible, are you guys all familiar with the Bible, like in the New Testament to some degree? Just raise your hand. Yeah. Shake your head, no. So you remember, like Jesus would be teaching, and they were always saying to him, "Are you this, Lord? Are you that?" They were always trying to fit him in with a category within their own parameters and their own definitions. And a true miracle healer, a true mind that is healed and aligned with the mind of God does not fit within the establishment. It is not within those parameters of worldly definitions and associations. And it's always going to be saying, it's a bit like, the guy, Jesus' hometown, they didn't recognize him because they fitted him, oh, there's Jesus, oh, he's the son of a carpenter. They couldn't recognize the Son of God in him. So these phenomenal things might go on, and the world saying, oh, you must be this or you're this, but you're none of that. You do not fit within the parameters of the world as you are as a son of God and a miracle worker.
He would also renunciate it and say, you say that I am, never say that, never agree with what the world's telling him. It's funny because I was just having a conversation with a friend the other day, and, he's telling me that he's trying to get rid of the ego. And I started giving him some lines of Jesus, and he told me that he is not a Christian, but he is a atheist Christian. And I was like, okay, I don't know what that means, but whatever. I was like, I don't consider myself a Christian. I don't consider myself anything, like I don't limit God with a name or a symbol or what it's supposed to be or what it's supposed to be like. Just opening up. And just being available is what I do.
Exactly. And again, so I will use specific language. I had a friend here, oh yeah, so you're a Christian. You must have a lot of Christian friends. And it's like, no, what makes you think I'm a Christian? Just because you use these terms, I talk about Jesus or God or whatever, what makes you think I'm a Christian? I'm none of that. I'm not that.
Right. I tell Christians that Jesus wasn't a Christian, and holy shit.
Okay, so here it goes on. Again, I'll just repeat. They'll attempt to force on you to make you come into an established association. So in the mind, in our human mind, we have all these associations. There's all these past associations that we have. You know, it's like string theory, all these past associations, and we go to all these past associations, and they're like little strings of ideas, all associated with the past, with that tiny mad idea. And they're all false associations, but they're all based on the past. And they're established in our mind until they're undone in us. So if you do that, they can formulate a doctrine concerning the method by which you heal. So that's the mind again going, oh, this is how it happens. You know, this happens and this happens and then this happens. You know, so again, it's, and here he says, the key to this is that you heal by no method at all.
Yeah, I spent in the beginning when I was awake or having my come to God realization moment, I was trying to find all kinds of different formulas and ways to salvation and resurrecting and all that. And yeah, I just came to a place where none of it worked. And, you know, it's just like, you just come to this place of, Father, thy will be done, and open yourself up. And again, make yourself available. That's basically what it is. And dropping all your ideas and concepts. And I think it talks about that in the course somewhere too, about forget what you learned, forget this book, and, you know, and that's what it basically comes down to, is just forgetting to remember.
Yeah, exactly. The method is nothing. Oh, this is beautiful. The method is nothing but a distance between the cause and the effect that will retain the necessity for the verification of the sickness. That is beautiful. So the instantaneous of the holy instant demonstrates no sickness could ever exist. When we put our cause and effect apart, as if there's a method, it's basically saying, oh yeah, there is a sickness, and now we do this, this, and the other thing, and then there's wellness. So true healing denies the possibility of sickness ever actually existing. So there's no method in it. It's purely instantaneous healing as the recognition what you thought never was. Or you enter into the mind of God where no sickness is possible or never could be conceived of. This seems real simple, and it is real simple for you perceptually. But I want you to understand that I'm talking in a literal sense. I'm saying that we can create a healing. We can bring about a reassociation of the factoring of form to the single dedication of the power of our minds not to identify with the world. That's an active determination of faith. You cannot do it without letting faith come into it, because any activity of your perceptual mind will be an attack on reality. Doesn't seem as though it is, that any aspect that you introduce between a direct cause and effect relationship will cause you to continue to construct various associations. So within our perceptual mind, we're always constructing various associations, and we've always seemed to have cause and effect apart. Like there seems to be distance between my cause and effect. This entirety of the world of space and time, the universe of perception, is an effect of one idea. And I put the effect outside of me and see it as an entire world. In the moment I collapse my cause and effect so that they come back together, I'm no longer keeping anything apart from me, and wholeness happens. There's an instantaneous healing because I've collapsed time and space and collapsed my cause and effect. I've brought them back together instead of pushing them apart as if there was time and space between the cause and effect, because that's what time and space is. It's actually keeping the effect separate from the cause. All of the New Testament is an expression of the battle between what Jesus is saying and what they are going to insist that he is saying. This might seem familiar with the Course in Miracles too. It's the same thing going on. The whole new...
Yeah, sometimes you just feel like banging your head against the wall.
Which I have done, let me tell you.
Me too. A lot. Throwing the book, everything.
The whole New Testament, page after page, they're going to determine what he's saying. And he's always saying, I'm not saying that. So in our perceptual association, we're always saying, oh, this is what Jesus is saying. But he's never saying that. Anything he's saying is to collapse our cause and effect, to take us into the instantaneous of healing and the remembrance of our wholeness. And he's not saying that either. None of my thoughts mean anything, including this one. He can't do it by a direct correspondence with the association because he would be in heaven. If he says, I am the saviour of the world and we are in heaven together, it's accomplished. Because of the drama of the individual associations, he must speak in physical metaphor. He must speak in a metaphor of a correspondence of the individual perceptual mind's determination to let its causation be a totality of universal mind. And that can be done and must be done. In an allegory of the identity of the self-proclamation. That is the autonomy of your mind. So here he is, he's talking to individual transformation, individual acceptance of the atonement. It can't be done in any other way, but you will get the result that you ask for. Faith is asking for the totality and not interpreting immediately the results. Wow, so that really reminds me of Jesus' like, don't be deceived. We've asked for the totality of the answer. And Jesus is saying, don't be deceived by continuing symptoms. That's like the old man saying there. You'll get what you've asked for. And faith is asking for the totality and not interpreting immediately the results. So when we've answered the call, when we've had a moment of singularly answering the call, like, you know, each of us individually in our own mind might think of a moment where we said yes and we asked for the answer in a totality. That's all we wanted. There was a singular call in us that we said yes to. Oh, this reminds me of someone else, Liz Cronkite, to teaching this and just saying, you've asked and it is done. So that's our faith, that it is done, and it is done in us the moment we ask for the totality of the answer, and not to be deceived by the continuing symptoms, which is the time and space that we seem to be perceiving still. You could say. Don't let the aspects of the situation distract you from the certainty of what I'm telling you. So you can stand in the declaration, I am as God created me. I am, I'm healed, I'm whole. That's what I am. I've been given the totality of the answer. I stand with Jesus at the end of time in the answer. And what I'm perceiving, the situation before me, again, lead us not in temptations. It's the world the continuing symptoms of the perceptual world I still seem to be perceiving. They're the symptoms I'm not to be deceived by. I'm walking through the shadow of the valley of death. But I can stand assured that I've asked for the totality and his will is done. And I am healed and whole. Right this moment, I'm healed and whole. And I'm standing in the perfection. I'm standing in the light of his love, and I am the light of the world along with you. And whatever seems to be appearing still is just a shadow of the valley of death, and I need not be deceived by continuing symptoms. And the situation, I'm not going to let this situation before me distract me from the remembrance that we're healed and whole, and we're at home in heaven, and God's will is done. And we have asked and received the answer. Can you imagine what they say about what you'll be doing? They will say, Course in Miracles students are healing, but they're using the devil to heal. Again, this is familiar, like a lot. I was just talking to Nicole last night, who I live with, and she was going to a church for a while, and they sat her down and they said, the Course in Miracles, all that scribe stuff, it's the devil speaking, you can't have anything to do with it. It's the devil. One other association, Doreen Virtue, who has used the course for a long time, all of a sudden, no, she's denouncing it. It's the devil speaking. Did you want to say something to that, GK?
Oh, yeah. Well, I have a friend, too, that was he just bought a Course in Miracles book, and he just texted to me a couple days ago. And because we've been kicking some ideas back and forth, and I've been talking to him for a few years, but finally he went out and bought the Course in Miracles book the other day, and he texted me, and he's like, yeah, I'm reading a lot of people saying this is fake and this isn't the real deal. And I was like, he's like, but there's something in me that is just telling me that it's true, and it's true. I'm like, well, you probably don't want to listen to the people outside of you. You probably want to listen to that inner nudge that's telling you that there's something true about it, and just keep on reading. And there was times for me too with the course, even in my own mind, that that wanted to come up and say that the book is fake and the book is evil. I've had a couple instances, and I was researching on the internet and listening to what people are talking about the academy, and Bill Thetford, being involved with the CIA and stuff. And then my mind wanted to go with, oh my God, is this a CIA book, a mind manipulation book and stuff like that? But you can't deny the word. You can't deny the energy. You can't deny the word. It's something that is not in time and space. And I mean, of course, the Bible, any kind of spiritual literature that has truth in it, you can't deny the reality of it, the confirmation.
Well, that's right. And if we're prepared to set aside our resistance for a moment, and the voice of the devil, you could say the voice of the devil in us saying, stay away, away, and just practice what we're asked to, then we start beginning to have the experiences that demonstrate to us personally that it's true. And the thing too is, like, I would say, to your friend too, I would remind him, look, the shit could hit the fan while you're doing this too, but it's meant to, because many people, if you're starting to have all that terror come up again, that is often really interpreted something's going wrong, or, by someone like that could interpret the devil's working in me. This is meant to be feeling love, but it's primarily, first of all, to bring up the blocks to the awareness of love's presence.
Mm-hmm.
So, again, when, you start feeling like you're going crazy, again, the mind could go to, there's something wrong about this. I wasn't like this before A Course in Miracles. Like taking yourself off to the nut house sort of thing. Things were much better before I got this book.
I even said that. I've said that to me a couple times.
Yeah. Can you imagine what they say about what you'll be doing? They will say, Course in Miracles students are healing, but they're using the devil to heal. You think, which is really kind of a funny thing to say too, if you're experiencing moments of healing and wholeness, I don't think that's the work of the devil. The devil doesn't usually have your best interests in heart, and you could be hardly having moments of healing. It's kind of a bit oxymoronic, isn't it, that idea?
There is kind of a truth to that statement, though, that they're using the devil to heal, because the devil is nothing more than the ego, or, the ego. And if you break down the devil in a concordance from the Bible, it's basically the accuser of, it's your mind accusing you of false information, So we really are using the everything here to heal, So even the devil, not what religion has made the devil to be, but the ego, you start to, for me, I start to appreciate everything that it is that's helped me kick my ass up the ladder, basically. There comes an appreciation to it.
Yeah. But I would say,
you just don't look at it in some evil, scary way. You look at it with more of an appreciation and acceptance.
Yeah.
Because you got to accept the whole. It comes to a point where you got to accept it all.
Yes, and but I would say it's not actually that actually does the healing. It is the light in your mind that does the
healing. Right.
Your
it's a catalyst.
Yeah. Well, the discomfort of our belief in it is the catalyst. The pain of that split mind.
Right.
The conflict in our mind is really our belief in it. You think you can open a center here and have the admission that God is doing the healing? It's not possible. They will find every means that they can to verify the association of your capacity to heal within the limited frame of what they are. In a very real way, God healing is the devil to them. And it is. It's like that's beyond what out in the human mind, what we don't understand, we tend to make into something evil in our minds. Like it's like unless our minds are open anyway, we tend to push something away that we don't understand rather than open to the not understanding.
Well, yeah, God's healing is the devil to them because of pride. Pride definitely wants to keep you in this world and keep all your concepts and ideas that you have made and believed about yourself. And unless you're ready to look at that pride and see the reality of what it is costing you, then yes, you're going to think this person's a nut job, he's possessed by the devil. But really, you're not even trying to be possessed, you're trying to unpossess possession.
Yeah, or as we
are.
be possessed by God, but the possession of God is more like being his son and being at one with him. And also that whole idea, it's like, it's the I know mind. As the human identity, we like to look as if we know something. And in that mind,
right.
we understand what's going on instead of that open mind of not knowing.
Right. And yes, and that's where pride gets in the way, because it wants to know. It needs to know. It needs to see. It needs to hear to make it react, to think something's real.
Yeah, and
in this world.
Now look at me. Look what I understand.
Right.
I know what this. I know what this is.
Yep.
There's no cause for your healing. What is more evil than the destruction of your own causation? The idea that no method is applied is totally evil. The greatest threat to the medical establishment will be your healing center. I don't know, whether you were here when I'm telling the story the other day about, someone giving me that whole thing about there's this special ordination, there's this special group of people that are doing God's work now. And I've been, Teddy was given something to tell me I'd been ordinated into it, or whatever the word was. And I just couldn't stop pissing myself laughing. It was just, it was just so ridiculous to me, just so the antithesis of what Jesus is saying, we were like specially chosen ones. That's what I think they said. There's been specially chosen ones, and I just couldn't stop laughing.
Wait, this is an ACIM group?
This is someone Teddy knows that's really close to Teddy. And I was saying, oh, wow, they must have been laughing their head off, because what they gave it to Teddy to give to me and say, give this to Annie. And Teddy said when they showed it to him that he was going to say, Annie's just going to laugh at this. And but he didn't. And I couldn't stop laughing. It was just so ridiculous to me. And so, the antithesis of everything Jesus says. And I was going, oh, they must have been laughing too. And he goes, oh, no, they took it really seriously. They're running around telling everyone and showing them and everything. And then I started feeling guilty, I'm really disrespecting them. They're thinking they're offering me this really, I don't know what they're thinking, actually. But, as if they're offering me something by saying, oh, you're part of this specially chosen thing now, Annie. But it was then I'm going, well, that's the thing, I'm feeling like I'm disrespecting them. And I'm going, well, that's the thing. The totality of reality is completely disrespectful to the human condition. Your whole mind is completely disrespectful to the human condition. And the human mind, it is a complete, the truth is an attack on the the human mind. It has no, it has no respect for the whole human mind thing. But it was I'm feeling really conflicted, because I'm feeling like I'm disrespecting this precious offering sort of thing.
Right. And just like to the ego, where God's healing is kind of like the devil, to people that are starting to hear and wake up and have understanding, the ways of this world is funny, you know what I mean? And the titles and stuff. And you don't mean to laugh out of disrespect.
No, it's just
it doesn't register with us anymore. It's just that doesn't, it sounds stupid, kind of, but not, but you're not being disrespectful, but you're just like.
But it is. But in a way,
and then you look arrogant to me, though.
In a way, it is stupid. And like I said, it flies. It's like the antithesis of what Jesus says.
Right.
He basically says everyone's chosen, but few, well, not basically.
Who are willing to hear, basically.
He does say, not basically, but he does say everyone is chosen, few choose to listen. We're already part of the whole. I don't need to be included in by. I'm already part of the sonship, whether I accept that or not right now. That's
right.
That's our
it all depends how you say it, what you state, And that's probably
I'm already included into the sonship.
Right. But to accept it and to, what's the word I'm looking for? To, I guess, announce it and establish it in yourself. Yes, you are included. But to people that don't want this, they're not. They're included, but they don't want to accept it. Whereas, if you accept it, that means that's the chosen that he's talking about. Accepting the idea that you are part of the sonship, and basically when you're not accepting it, you're breaking yourself off from the vine and.
Yeah, but it's also this whole idea of this specially chosen, when it's like, really wholeness.
Oh, the religious where they're talking about the elect and all that stuff? Religions, are we talking about?
I'm talking about this thing that was offered to me. Oh, no.
Oh, yeah.
This divine message that was given, in one of Teddy's course groups, and it was about this specially chosen ones that are, now, they're pests and they're being ordained, and, and I, like I said, I just couldn't stop laughing because it's like, the totality of reality and what we are is the undoing of all specialness, and we cannot our whole life be prepared to undo the idea of specialness. Although in time and space we will have special functions because of the talents that we have developed.
It doesn't make you special.
Yeah, that doesn't make me special. It just makes me like I would have learned something maybe different from you. So I said, and the Spirit knows what those talents are, so it can use them on behalf of the whole mind waking up. So it's not like that I have something that someone else has, and it's just really what I've, taken on in my sort of association throughout time and space that the Spirit knows. It's like Helen's scribal abilities. She developed them at other points in time, and the Spirit knew that and could use them. Whereas I Sorry?
I'm sorry, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
So I might not have scribal abilities, but I don't need to, to accept the atonement by myself. I might have other abilities that I've developed over time, and the Spirit knows I have and can use on behalf of him to get the message through or what have you.
Right, and just like the Bible talks about this, just like our body, all of our members have different functions. In the body of Christ, we all have different functions inside the body of Christ, and the Bible speaks about that. Paul talks about that in the Bible.
We sort of had that one,
but it's not. There's nothing special about it. It's all part of the one body,
Yeah, and we have that one primary function in perception of accepting the atonement for ourselves, so that we can look upon everything through the eyes of wholeness and only bless. We have that singular action of mind, so we can only bless. We learn to forgive, so that we only have one thing going on in our hearts and minds, so it reflects what we are in reality in our perceptual experience. That's primary it, so that where we have the peace of God, we have the inner joy and peace, and we know where our safety lies and defenselessness, and then that's our primary purpose, you could say. and function. But then, as you're saying, all those other things come into play, the sort of more special function part. Okay, so back to, they will find every means they can to verify the association of your capacity to heal within the limited frame of what they are. In a very real way, God healing is the devil to them. There's no cause for your healing. What is more evil than the destruction of your own causation? The idea that no method is applied is totally evil. The greatest threat to the medical establishment will be your healing centre. The more miracles that occur, the less tolerated it will be. It is literally the destruction of the need to die and stay in the association. I'm going to do that again. The more miracles that occur, the less tolerated it will be. It is literally the destruction of the need to die and stay in the association.
When he's talking about the medical establishment, he's talking about like hospitals and stuff like that, right?
Well, everything. I mean, it's a threat to any system of thought, whatever healing of thought, shamans, all sorts of things,
True.
New Agey healing, whatever. It's a threat to every thought system that the world has about anything. And there's no establishment in it. There's no establishment in God. It's always being renewed. It's a constant renewal. And that is literally the destruction of the need to die, because we can stay in the renewal and the it's just a renewal. I was going to say regeneration, but it's not really. It's the end of a generation. It's we can stay in that constant association and communication that is a constant renewal and a constant tapping into the eternal that revitalizes and refreshes anew constantly and consistently when we're willing to stay centered in the Christ mind or in the forgiven mind and the mind of our Father. There's no establishes. There's no need to die. There's no need to go back into the past if we stay in that. And there you are, you're in your healed mind, you're in the singular mind that is constantly being renewed, constantly not establishment. And it is a threat to the establishment because its light, that light is causing havoc in the mind that wants to hold on to the past, wants to hold on to reassociation, reestablishment. What a terrible situation to be in. Fortunately, there's no reality in it.
Fortunately, they think it is.
Unfortunately, they think there is. When Jesus went out and taught to the recognition of his own awakening process, inevitably the correspondence of his whole mind began to manifest miracles. It cannot not. So when we're when we're in that right mind, when we're aligned with the mind of God, when we're walking through the valley of the shadow of death in alignment with the mind of Christ in us, we cannot not bless. That healed mind cannot not generate miracles. It cannot not what am I saying? It cannot not heal. It cannot not offering healness, because healness is all it sees. Healness and perfection is all that comes from it. You are perceiving through that mind. You're aligned with that mind. And so it's like he says, and the way, he goes before you and makes the road straight. Everything is straightened out.
Crooked way straight, yeah.
the crooked place is straight, because the light in your mind goes before and undoes everything or any obstacle. I was talking to Kate recently, and she was talking about, she used to have to sort of dismiss thoughts, and now they start to try to get in, and now they can't. And I was saying it's because your mind is so illuminate now. There's no place for them to stick. It's like you've got Teflon mind now. They can't come and take a hold anymore and take root. And so, that mind, you cannot but produce miracles as you walk with him and use that mind and align with it. You have manifested miracles in this association. You've been taught not to credit your association with yourself in the miracle and allow it to come from the natural reality of what you are. Here's Jesus saying, it's not I that doeth the works, but the Father in I. And all of us know in our own, when there's been a miracle and it's come through us and there's been some sort of healing happen, we know it's like it's freely given. There's a freedom of action, there's a freedom in that action of mind. It's given. You didn't really do anything. It didn't really come from you. It's obvious. You cannot take credit for it.
We're not worried about what it looks like either. There's been time there that's kind of threw me off. That used to throw me off for a while. As far as, why is nothing happening around me? Why are miracles not taking place? And Jesus talks about it in the Bible that, I forget exactly how he puts it, but miracles are happening when you're lined up, but you might not be seeing them. They could be, anywhere. And I have seen them manifest in front of me as well, but it's not always about seeing them. It's just a knowing. It's a certainty.
That's right. That's where he says miracles don't always have observable effects.
Right. That used to trip me up.
He is very much aware that in miracle working, there's no such things. This is beautiful. He is very much aware that in miracle working, there is no such thing as a miracle worker. That a definition of labor involved in miraculous healing will cause the necessity for a separation of the cause and effect. There you're staying in the holy instant, you're staying in the instantaneous of the miraculous nature of your mind, of the holy, loving nature, natural state of your mind. There's no you. In a sense, there's no identity. There's no teacher of God. There's no miracle worker. Even though Jesus uses all these terms, in the miraculous nature of your own whole mind, there's no one to claim that definition or concept of self. It cannot not without the admission that the sickness and the remedy are the same. Luke, who is a recounter. Luke can really irritate. He's talking about Luke in the Bible here. Luke, who is a recounter. Luke can, maybe he's not. He might have been actually talking. Hang on a minute. Luke can really irritate you because he doesn't recognize levels of thought. He has a tendency simply to report what's said, and it's all over the place. Oh, okay. Thanks, Brendan. Brendan's just going. Okay, GK, you might be a bit more familiar with Luke than I am at this time. I'd have to brush up on, I haven't read the New Testament for a long time, so I don't really remember how Luke presents things. But so he's saying he presents a particularly tough teaching because the things that Jesus said, for example, about the Pharisees are very difficult when not looked at in the totality of the context of a whole mind addressing another mind. And that's a really cool thing too. It's always got to be within a context, and often like the mind takes little snippets. You'll notice people will take one line of the course and it will look like a certain thing, but it's not given in the context of what Jesus was addressing something. So the true meaning of what Jesus is saying isn't conveyed because the whole context isn't there by this one line, this snippet. I think this is what he's probably talking about with Luke. Okay, here's a little Luke. Here's a correspondence written out that goes with the Lord's Prayer. Once the mind evolves an ability to find correspondence in the symbol relationship of its definition of itself, it will do it in a continuing effort. This piece of paper says heaven, Father, pituitary, name, pineal, will, thyroid, evil, thymus, debt, solar plexus, temptation, Leiden, breads, gonads. Absolutely true. I'm not sure what he's saying there. Do you know what he's saying there, GK?
No, I'm not sure what he's saying here.
They asked Jesus in Luke chapter 11 for a single prayer how to pray, and he gives them the Lord's Prayer, which is lovely. You may interpret it any way you want. All it really says is that God's will is done on earth as it is in heaven, and there's nothing you're going to be able to do about it.
I think he might be saying that Luke takes things more literally and just gives it more of a literal meaning than as far as a spiritual meaning.
Right. Right. So it's a bit like he was saying previously, Jesus has to talk within the metaphorical nature of the mind. I have to go back. Anyway. So all it really says is that God's will is done on earth as it is in heaven. There's nothing you're going to be able to do about it. Then he talks about the necessity of the admission of the need of your brother in the correspondence with your need. A guy comes to your house and asks for help. Won't you give it to him? At what point do you decide it's more valuable to hold your relationships with yourself rather than give them away? That's the context. So he's teaching here when Jesus says, give all to all, to have all, give all to all. I can't use my own association. I can't lay up stores. I can't use my own association and memory to decide what it is I need or want. I'm to give. I'm to give all at all. At what point do I decide, this is for me and not for you? This is just for me. No, I've given all to give to all. I give it to my brother.
Yeah, so Luke was more of a intellectual. He was more of an intellectual than as Jesus, as the Bible would put, like a Gentile, just not coming from an illuminated mind.
I say unto you, though he will not rise and give him because he is his friend. Okay, so I must be reading from Luke. I say unto you, though he will not rise and give him because he is his friend, yet because of his importunity, I have no idea what that word means, he will rise and give him as many as he needeth. Okay, so then I'm not using my own thinking, though he will not rise and give him because he is his friend. Like, I'm not giving this to you because you're my friend or you're my, my mother or father. I'm not giving this to you because of the relationship association I've made up in my own temporal mind. I'm giving this to you. I'm going to get up and give this to you because of where I come from and what I am.
Importunity means persistence, especially to the point of annoyance.
Yeah, it's like the impulse in me to give through the Holy Spirit will get me up and give me, and I'm going to rise because of that insistence within the Holy Spirit and the need in me to give as much as my brother needeth. That's what he's sort of saying. He's talking about, I'm not going to use my temper. I'm not giving this to you because I know you from, you're my neighbour down the street that I've known for 20 years, or because you're my mother or my friend or my family. I'm giving this to you because there's an insistence within me to give through the Spirit. I have gifts that I must give, and I'm asked to give to my brother in any situation. I'm going to give as much as you require. If I'm asked to be there, if the Spirit's saying you've got to be there for 4 hours giving, staying with this brother and giving, then that I will give as much as needed. The Spirit in me will be the impulse that rises up in me to give, and I'm giving to you because of that impulse and the requirement of me to give, because that's our nature for giving. It's not, I'm not giving to you because I'm not getting up to give to you because, you're this guy that goes to the meetings with me or whatever, or, I've known you for 10 years, or, you're an old friend. It's the Spirit in me, that insistence within me, that requirement of me to give as I've been given and as I'm asked to give. And that shall be until the Spirit says, you're done here. I will give him as many as he needeth, and that cup will continue to be fulfilled as much and as long as it's needed. It is impossible in any situation. You're not going to get exactly what you need if you don't bring other aspects of the situation and demand a correspondence within your own mind. And I say unto you, ask, and it shall be given you. Seek, and ye shall find. Knock, and it shall be opened unto you. This is an active statement of your determination to return to God. It cannot be denied you because the factoring is contained within your own mind. But you must be constant in the so-called result that you want based on your association. That's our determination. That's our vigilance for the kingdom. We must continue to keep realigning and say, this is all we want, because we wander off. We wander into temptation. So we have to remind ourselves, oh, hang on a second, I've forgotten. I've got to remember this is my function and purpose. This is what I'm about. I want the peace of God, and I want to give what I've been given. And I'm called to give in order for my own remembrance and the remembrance of my brother along with me, who I'm one with. This is chapter 18 in the course. Don't be faithless to the correspondence of the realization of the perfection of your own mind in what apparently has been projected outside of you. Again, we're going back to what he was saying, like, let's remember I'm whole, and don't be deceived by the continuing symptoms of the projections that I made up of time and space. Let them be as they are and not give meaning to them, because in not giving them meaning, I rise above, I stay in the remembrance and can look past those associations and stay and be in the world but not of it. Live as if I'm in the world but I'm not of it. I'm not of its thinking. All that could possibly be is what you have determined you want it to be. All that could possibly be is what you have determined you want it to be, to hold the conflict of your own mind. For everyone that asketh receiveth, and he that seeketh findeth, and to him that knocketh it shall be opened. That's simply a statement that cause and effect are not apart. You cannot ask for something and not get it. And that's it. So if we're not experiencing the peace that passeth human understanding, then our mind's still split and we still aren't wholly asking for that. And so again, it's that gentle, okay, there's blocks there that need to be cleared. I'm still in a purification process. But at any moment, I can experience the miracle and choose again. And that conflict can be dissolved from my mind. The holy instant is available to me now. This moment I can rise up in the holy instant and remember and be given the correction of my thinking that keeps me in a state of 2 instead of 1. And that 2-ness creates the split. I keep my cause and effect apart, and that's the conflict. And the miracle collapses times. It brings back our cause and effect together and collapses the time we need for learning. Your problem here, he tells us what's going on. Your problem is that you are not certain what to ask for because you don't know who you are. What do you call that? Zinger, right there. So we don't know who we are. We don't remember who we are. So we ask for things based on not knowing who we are. Yeah, based on who we're not who we are. Not knowing who you are, you continually ask for reassociations of the aspects of the correspondence of your own mind. So we continually ask for things of the past. Oh, yeah, maybe, another relationship. You'll do that again. That would be good, that trip or whatever. Whatever it is. I need this, I need that. I want this or I want that. We continually ask for stuff based on our past associations, and those past associations, and they're all based on who we're not who we are. So we're asking, David Hoffmeister's good like that. He always teaches we're asking for the past to repeat itself rather than entering into the present and staying in the non-establishment of the present moment.
Yes. Amen.
Right, so not knowing who you are, you continually ask for reassociations of the aspects of the correspondence of your own mind, and you get that. You ask for that, you'll receive it. You're going to the power of our mind is we ask and we receive what we want. But God would not give you a symbol of what you have asked for unless you insist on symbolizing a relationship to what is objective to your mind. If a son shall ask bread of any of you that is a father, will he give him a stone? No, he'll give him bread. Yet it appears to you when you ask for something, you don't get what you ask for. You don't know what to ask for. All this really says is you're going to get exactly what you ask for. Or if he asks, I think that's meant to be, or if he asks, I think that's meant to be for a fish. Will he for a fish give him a serpent? Will he give him something he doesn't want? You are getting what you ask for. You ask for love and you appear to get evil. Yet you are not asking for love. You are asking for evil, or it would be impossible that you get it. So this is, again, he's telling us directly, if we're not experiencing peace and love and joy, it's because we're not wholly asking for it. We're asking for our past associations, what we think that is, what we imagine love to be, what we think is going to make us happy. And we get that. And it's evil because it's all based on the thought of separation and the denial of our wholeness. It's not evil in the sense of sinful, but you could You know that idea that evil is live backwards? It's like, it really is that, you know, it's like we're asking for the denial of life or to live. And we get that. You know, our thoughts of separation are all evil in the sense that the denial of our wholeness. It's not like they're sinful or bad, but they are the denial of our wholeness and our true nature and what we truly are. So we're asking for evil, and we get it. We're asking for not life instead of life. You cannot not get what you're asking for. That's fundamentally rejected. But that's fundamentally rejected. I didn't ask for this. Why am I like this? Why am I sick? Why is this happening? I didn't ask for this. I'm a victim. I didn't ask for this. We don't remember. We don't remember asking for what we receive. We don't remember our decision for something other than our wholeness and perfection. But it is fundamentally true with the reasonableness of an association of the mind contained within itself and being directed by the outcome that it wants to receive in a situation. Or if he shall ask, he's going on to the Luke again, or if he shall ask an egg, will he offer him a scorpion? That's an interesting analogy. Now he's going to say you're using so little of the power of your mind when God wants to give you everything. If ye then, being evil, you're separated, so you're in the condition of separation, know how to give good gifts unto your children. So if you're then in the condition of separation, if you're finding yourself in the condition of evil, do you recognize, do you know what's good? Do you know what gifts to give your brother or your children? You can't possibly know. Here's Jesus. You do not perceive your own best interests. Because you don't know who you are. How do you know your fucking best interests if you don't know who you are? You're searching for happiness within your own separation. Don't you think God in his totality also wants his children to be happy in the certainty of what he is?
Wow.
We want our children to be happy. We want to give them good.
We're trying to change the world and make it a better place. Thinking that we're making it good.
But it's like, you know, we as parents or whatever think we want to offer our children good, you know, and
we think we know what's best for them.
Exactly.
Exactly.
But he's saying here, don't you think God's the same as you? Like he wants for his children
right.
happiness. He wants good for his children. It's impossible.
But we don't see, a lot of us don't see ourselves as God's children and think that we can make the decisions on our own, off our own thinking and our own understanding. And he's telling us right now that's what evil is, because we're separating ourselves off from source.
Exactly.
Oh, shit.
It's impossible that God's mind is different than yours. Our mind is always working perfectly. In the separation, but we're using it wrongly. We're using it against ourselves instead of for ourselves. When we're aligned with spirit, it's always for ourselves. Everything is for us. When we see that, when we're aligned with spirit, it's always working together. So our mind is always working perfectly. It can only really work one way. It's just the purpose we're employing it for. And if the purpose of everything in time and space is really in opposition to what we really are, then we're using our mind perfectly in opposition to what's good for us.
Right.
God doesn't give. The spirit of your totality with yourself gives to God. That's Jesus saying the cause of the what does he say? The effect of the cause makes the cause. What's that line where he says that? Something like that. But that's what he's pointing to there. God doesn't give. The spirit of your totality with yourself gives to God. He says.
Would you say the effect of the cause is the cause?
No, it says the effect of the cause makes the cause.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah, right.
Okay. He's quoting Luke again. And he was casting out a devil, and it was dumb. And it came to pass when the devil was gone out, the dumb spake, and the people wondered. It doesn't say the devil caused the dumbness. It says that the devil was the act of being dumb.
Right.
Quite literally, when you see God, you're often struck dumb. Dumbness is a denial of God. But some of them said, he casteth out devils, though Beelzebub. Beelzebub. Oh, he just calls it Beelzebub. He casteth out devils, though Beelzebub, the chief of the devils. Oh, okay, so he's quoting Luke again. But some of them said, he casteth out devils, though through Beelzebub, the chief of the devils, and others tempting him, sought of him a sign from heaven. Wow, walk on my swimming pool. But he, knowing their thoughts, he could not know what they were doing, because obviously everything they did was designed not to admit to who they were. An astonishing idea. Okay, I've got to go back there. I'm not sort of hearing that quite. Oh. Just going to read that again. Luke says it doesn't say that the devil caused, like the old man says, it doesn't say that the devil caused the dumbness. It says that the devil was the act of being dumb. Quite literally, when you see God, you're often struck dumb. Dumbness is a denial of God. But some of them said he casteth out devils through Beelzebub, the chief of the devils, and others tempting him, sought of him a sign from heaven. So we're like looking for proof. That's the temptation. We're looking for proof. How do I know this was from God? You know, they're saying, you know, show me, you know, what's basically is going, who's your authority? Who's your authority to do this healing in a certain way?
And it's the same thing as Jesus being in a desert for 40 days and 40 nights, where he was having I don't want to say battle, but him and his mind were going back and forth, and the ego said, if you are the son of God, cast yourself off the house or something, or off the cliff or something like that. You know what I mean?
And we're always, and this is us falling back into temptation. We're in that right mind, and someone will come and ask a human question, like, yeah, and bam, you for a moment you forget, like, you know, often we recognize those questions are impossible questions. We can't answer them in the framework the questions being asked, because it just verifies the denial. So, you know, recently, you know, I was asked a question and I fell into the denial. I answered from her reference point rather than saying, I can't answer. You're asking me an impossible question. You're asking me all based on past associations. You're asking a time. I mean, I laughed when she asked the question, but again, it was sort of almost like this attempt to be respectful in some way. Mm-hmm. And it denied the truth, you know, because, you know, it was all about time, you know, it was asking me, it was something to do with Teddy and my relationship with him, and whether, you know, it was this or that. And to me, like, I couldn't answer that question. It was asking for a definition of relationship. It was asking me to hold on to a concept of time. Like, is this going to be a lifelong relationship? You know, or it was asking for me, you know, it was making time real. Like, it was an impossible question. If you're living in the present, all those self-concepts like, you know, he's this or that are held very loosely. My wife, my daughter, you know, they're all brothers. You don't really, they're not, the concept of yourself is held very, very, very lightly. You know, I was laughing the other day because I was thinking, you know, like, there was this idea of Teddy and I getting married, and I'm going, oh, he hasn't officially unengaged me. Am I still a fiance? So, you know, like, these are very serious, meaningful concepts in the world: fiance, wife, partner, or what have you.
It's funny how and the Bible talks about the serpent as the most subtle beast in the field, and you know, it knows how to just give that little tiny thought to make your mind spin off and distract from God. It's so sly.
Yeah, and the other thing is too, when I sort of started answering, look, I really can't answer those
when
things.
you start answering.
And saying, well, you know, this and this and this, when we're living like this, you know, that I got a response of, you know, don't teach to me, you know, you don't need to teach to me.
Oh yeah, I've been down there.
Yeah. The fact is, like, I'm reminding myself, you know, you're asking an impossible question, which I forgot to say. You know, I could have said, you're asking an impossible question. I cannot possibly answer you in meaningful terms. All I could answer in the terms was, I'm with him forever. He's my brother who stands with me forever, and I'm with him forever. You know, I don't care whether I ever speak to him, or whether he speaks to me ever again, or whether I never see him ever again. I'm with him forever. You know.
Amen.
What he says is, if you believe that healing comes from evil, it will come from evil. So if we believe the healing comes from separation, that's what it will be for us. We don't recognize the healing came from the power of our own mind and the decision for healing, and there was no method in it other than our decision for healing. Then we will attribute it to something in time and space. And then that's where
our faith is becomes established.
Yeah.
You know, what we believe.
Yeah. But the idea that evil would heal, see, this is where I go back from that initial statement. How can the devil really heal? If a real healing occurs, if it's a true healing, it can't come from a divided mind, because healing makes whole. It unifies. It doesn't separate. It brings you back into a mind of wholeness. It unifies you with your brother. It shows you that you're joined. It shows you you're one with God. Yes, but the idea that evil would heal is a house divided against itself. So it's the idea that anything in separation can really heal me is really, I'm still holding cause and effect apart, and I'm divided against myself. That's exactly what this says. In other words, the guy says you are healing evilly. What he's saying is all healing is evil. This has to be distinguished in the form of division or judgment, which must cause conflict within the house of association. Okay, I think I'm going to leave it there, because the old man will probably go on for another 8 hours. Because he can't not give it away.
Holy shit, it does go on for a while. This chapter's, but I haven't read this book in a while. Yeah, it's like another 20 pages.
Yeah, exactly.
I gotta read this again. Thank you for bringing it up.
Yeah, I'm really grateful. I mean, he's always pointing back to you living in the resurrection and the life, and pointing back to your immediacy of a salvation and your wholeness and perfection right now. There's not much I can say about that.
Thank you.
All right, sweetheart. Thanks, Kevin.
Thank you for this. Appreciate it. Oh, absolutely. Are you going to be reading from here every Friday night, or?
Let's see.
Right on. Yeah. Have a good one, y'all.
All right.
Love you guys.
Yeah, it was a wonderful teaching, and I really enjoyed myself.
Okay. This is from the Gifts of God poem, Helen, that came through Helen. It's called A Brother's Prayer. There is an end to sorrow. What was made will be unmade. The transient toys. Sorry, this is so perfect. Kate just did a little post about the toys and putting down our toys. So what was made will be unmade. The transient toys of spite will turn to dust. The things of time will fade and vanish into nothingness. The night of evil dreams will gently yield to light. All things that God created not will close as they began, in secret and in shame, which never being born cannot oppose God's holy will to let forgiveness frame the face of Christ who enters in his name. What need we do to let forgiveness come? Nothing. We need but realize that we and all the world together are the sum of all salvation's promise. I am he who speaks God's words, and you along with me. Oh, there's all the Shakespeare you could ever want. There is an end to sorrow in God's will. The Christ serenely rests, God's holy Son, is all creation is, for he is still, as God created him, forever one. His word is changeless, spoken, it is done. The flicker of an instant stands between us and complete salvation. Need we do more than God asks? The face of Christ is seen, and then unseen forever. Sorrow too has disappeared, and I along with you.